October 2nd, 2019. A social worker, Sarah Jenkins, enters a foreclosed house in northern Wisconsin. The air is thick with the smell of decay and neglect. She's there to document squatters, a routine task in this forgotten corner of the state. Little does she know this visit will be anything but routine. What she finds instead is a malnourished boy, curled up in an attic crawl space, a secret hidden within the walls of a forgotten home. He hadn't been reported missing. No frantic parents, no concerned neighbors, no trace of his existence in the official records. He had no ID, no birth certificate, no digital footprint. It was as if he had simply materialized from thin air. And when asked who he was, he whispered, his voice raspy and weak, barely audible above the creaking of the old house.
"Don't tell him I'm here, please. He'll be angry."
This is the case of the boy in the attic, a mystery wrapped in silence, shrouded in fear, and buried deep within the forgotten corners of our world. Welcome to the evidence room. Prepare to dive into the darkness, to confront the unsettling truths that lie hidden beneath the surface. The truth is waiting to be uncovered, but are you ready to face it? Rural Waukesha County, abandoned property. The boy, around 11 years old, was covered in soot, wearing pajamas 3 sizes too small. He was shaking, barely responsive. His words?
"He feeds me when he's angry. He locks me up if I ask questions."
There was no sign of forced entry, no records of previous tenants having children, and no nearby missing child reports that matched. So, who was he? Deputies secured the scene. Forensics combed the house. One disturbing detail: the attic had been modified. Soundproof insulation lined the walls. A child's mattress bolted to the floor, a bucket for a toilet, and dozens of drawings taped to the wood beams. Most were scribbles, but one stood out, a sketch of a man without a face, just 2 red eyes, and the word "Dad" written underneath. The DNA testing process was initiated with a sense of urgency, a race against time to unravel the mystery before them. Samples were collected, meticulously labeled, and fed into the complex machinery. Technicians worked tirelessly, their eyes glued to the screens as the genetic code was analyzed, base pair by base pair. And then, a break, a match, a connection that sent shivers down their spines. The boy, against all odds, matched the DNA of Aidan Clark, a name that had been relegated to the cold case files. A child reported dead in a devastating house fire back in 2013, 6 long years earlier. The implications were staggering, but Aidan wasn't dead. The world believed he was gone, mourned his loss, and etched his name onto a symbolic gravestone. He'd been buried, symbolically, in the hearts and minds of those who knew him. His case, officially closed, stamped and sealed, filed away as a tragic accident. The official report, stark and unwavering, stated, "No remains recovered. Presumed incinerated, lost to the flames." The book was closed on Aidan Clark. But the truth, as it often does, lurked in the shadows. He had been taken, plucked from his life, his family, his future, by someone or some entity who wanted the world to believe he was gone. Erased, a phantom, someone who meticulously orchestrated a deception, a cruel charade that fooled everyone involved. The question was, why? What purpose did this elaborate scheme serve? He'd been buried symbolically, a finality that offered a false sense of closure. His case, closed. A chapter deemed finished, a mystery supposedly solved. The official report? No remains recovered, presumed incinerated, a tragic end to a young life. The empty casket served as a stark reminder of the void left behind, a tangible representation of their grief. And now, he was back. Resurfaced from the depths of the unknown, alive against all odds. But the years of absence had taken their toll. He was terrified, haunted by memories he couldn't or wouldn't articulate, and unwilling to say who did it. The trauma was palpable, a wall of fear erected around his mind, shielding him from the horrors he had endured. The doctors observed his every move, searching for clues, for any flicker of recognition or revelation. The pieces of the puzzle were scattered, fragmented, and shrouded in darkness. The road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, a treacherous path leading into the heart of a chilling mystery. The truth was out there, buried beneath layers of deceit and fear, waiting to be unearthed. There was only one name on the foreclosure: Simon Clark, Aidan's biological father, a trucker, divorced, known drifter. He claimed Aiden had died in the fire, attended the funeral, collected insurance. But surveillance from truck stops and rest areas near the house put Simon in Waukesha at least 7 times between 2015 and 2019. Was he returning to check on his secret? Aiden was interviewed by specialists. His vocabulary was stunted. He had scars consistent with restraint, but he refused to name his captor.
If I tell, he'll take my tongue.
He only spoke freely to a child psychologist once.
I used to scream, he said, but the walls don't listen. Sometimes I wasn't alone.
Investigators discovered a hidden room under the floorboards. Inside, a baby monitor, still powered. Audio cassettes labeled lessons.
Be quiet, be still, be safe.
And a second mattress, smaller, unused. Was someone else supposed to be brought there, or had someone already been? As the investigation deepened, we began to formulate several working theories, each attempting to explain the bizarre circumstances surrounding Aiden's confinement. Theory 1. Parental abduction. The most disturbing yet initially plausible scenario. We considered the possibility that Simon, Aiden's father, had orchestrated the entire ordeal. Faked the fire, perhaps driven by a desperate need for money or something far more sinister. Kept Aiden hidden away, subjecting him to a twisted experiment in obedience and control. Insurance fraud, a cold and calculated act, potentially covered his tracks, providing the financial means to sustain their isolated existence. But the question that haunted us, why the silence? Why raise him in total isolation, devoid of any human contact or normal development? What was the ultimate goal of this cruel and unusual imprisonment? Theory 2. Survivalist cult connection. This line of inquiry led us down a darker path, exploring the possibility of external influences. Clark, we discovered, had unsettling ties to a fringe survivalist group operating in the remote regions of northern Michigan. This group was known for its extreme ideologies and its practice of educating children off-grid, instilling in them a distrust of mainstream society and preparing them for a perceived coming apocalypse. Could Aiden have been a failed recruit, a discarded initiate who didn't meet their rigorous standards or subscribe to their beliefs? Perhaps he was deemed unsuitable for their radical way of life and was subsequently abandoned, left to languish in the attic. Or worse, could he have witnessed something within the group that made him a liability, someone who needed to be silenced and hidden away? Theory 3. Wrong child. This is where things fracture, where the foundation of the case began to crumble beneath our feet. A seemingly minor discrepancy, a nagging doubt that refused to be dismissed. One meticulous investigator poring over the evidence noted something unsettling. Aiden's dental records didn't fully match the records we had on file for Simon Clark's son. The variations were subtle, but undeniable. Could it be a simple case of mistaken ID, a clerical error in the chaotic aftermath of the fire? Or was it evidence of a deeper deception, a deliberate attempt to conceal the truth? Was Aiden even Aiden? The implications were staggering. If he wasn't who we thought he was, then who was he? And what had happened to the real Aiden Clark? The silence of the attic spoke volumes. The dust motes danced in the faint light, each one a tiny question mark hanging in the air. The air was thick with unanswered questions, with the weight of years of isolation and neglect. Who was the boy in the attic, really? What secrets did he hold within his fragile mind? What horrors had he witnessed? What traumas had he endured? In 2021, Aiden disappeared again. From a foster home, no forced entry, no signs of struggle, just a note on the window, written in crayon, not safe here either. To this day, he hasn't been found. Neither has Simon Clark. How does a boy die and return? How does he vanish? Twice. And who was the second mattress for? This file is still open, still chilling, still waiting. Because in the evidence room, we don't forget the ones left behind. Let us know what you think happened. Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're brave enough, subscribe for the next file. The truth is in the evidence.